All right, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Dante Williams back with another training. I had a request from a new member who recently signed up to the Teamwork program. He had a question. He wanted to know exactly what is it that he needs to say and what information that he needed to get from a motivated seller. Please remember that we only want to deal with motivated sellers. Not every person who wants to sell their property will be motivated. So here's how we determine if the person is motivated. I am going to upload this sheet that you're looking at right now. This is a seller lead sheet, and this sheet will help you to gather all the information that you need in order to determine whether or not this person is motivated and whether or not this lead qualifies enough to be uploaded into the platform for us to analyze and look at. Okay, at the very top of this lead sheet, you see a few things: property address, date, lead source. You want to make sure that you completely fill out this information. You definitely want to get that property address. You're going to want to get that city, state, and zip code. Very important. Sometimes the owner of the property, if it is an investment property and not a property that they're living in, they probably won't know the zip code. And that's fine. That's when you go onto the internet and use Google. You type in that property address and it will give you the zip code. You want to make sure that you fill out the date. Do not leave your date blank. We need to know exactly when these leads are coming in, so that way we can respond to them as quickly as possible. Also, lead source. What the lead source is how they found out about you. How did you contact them? So, for instance, if you put out bandit signs and they called you from one of your bandit signs, you want to put bandit sign inside of this area here. Also, if you call them from off of a for sale by owner website such as Zillow or for sale by owner.com or something like that, you want to fill that in so that way you can track exactly where you are getting the most leads from. You want to fill out the home phone. These days, younger people tend not to have home phones, but older people still very much cling to those home phones. But more importantly is the cell phone. You want to make sure that if that person has a cell phone, that you get that cell phone number. A lot of times you want to ask this person, hey, what is the best number to contact you? And they will give you that cell phone number because people carry their cell phones all the time. You also want to ask, once you get that cell phone number, you want to ask, what is the best time to contact you? Very important. Some people work night shifts. They work the graveyard shift. So it may not be easy to get in contact with them during the day because they're asleep. So you want to ask, what is the best time to contact you? As far as the work phone number, you don't necessarily need that. I think that is asking a little too much. If a person asks me for my work phone number, the first thing that I'm going to think is, why do you need that? So that's something that you really don't need. Don't even bother with the work phone number. Email address, very important. We all live very busy lives, and sometimes email is a much better way, an effective way to communicate with people, especially in this day and age of smartphones. Me personally, sometimes it is much easier for me to email and have an email conversation back and forth than to actually talk on the phone. Because it's just not easy to do. If you're in and out of meetings or in and out of appointments, emailing can save a lot of time. Going over to the left side of this again, the contact person. You want to make sure that you ask this person if they are the owner of the property. If they're not the owner of the property, then you put them down as a contact person and you put their number next to it. And if they're not the owner of the property, you want to make sure, you want to see if you can get the actual owner and their information. So that goes down to the owner. Who is the person on the title? So the way that you get that, sometimes you'll get people who want to sell your property, people who have properties listed for sale, and they may be wholesalers and they don't own the property, they just control the property, which is fine. We work with wholesalers, no problem. You want to make sure, and in the way that you screen that person out to find out whether or not this person is a wholesaler or the actual owner, you want to ask this question: how long have you owned the property? When you ask them that question and they can't immediately bring you an answer or a guesstimate of how long they own the property, 9 times out of 10 they don't own it. You want to ask if the property has a mortgage on it. If the property does have a mortgage on it, who's their lender? Very important. A lot of properties are not free and clear, so being able to know who that lender is and being able to know what upfront if we're going to be able to work with their lenders, because some lenders are a little bit more flexible than others. Having that name of the mortgage holder is very, very important. If they don't know right off the back, that's fine. Just mark whether or not they do have the mortgage. If they don't know the mortgage holder's name. Another important thing to ask: do you currently live in this home? Very important. You know, you want to find out whether or not this home is an investment property, whether it is a family home, or whether or not it's vacant. You want to ask, how long have you lived in this home, or how long have you owned it? Style of the home. You want to ask, when I look at style of the home, I'm only concerned with 2 things. 1, is it brick or frame? 2, how many levels of this home is it? Is it a 2-story, 1-story, 1.5 story? Is there a basement? You always want to ask if there's a basement. You know, sometimes the basement will make the world of a difference. Properties with crawl spaces that have no basement, they tend to sell for a lot less. And you usually find these in south suburban areas. You want to ask the square footage of the property. A lot of sellers will not know this. Trust me. Don't lose sleep over it. If they don't know the square footage of the property, what you would want to do is go on to the Cook County Assessor's website and find that square footage. In this area, you see the number of units. Units 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, what we typically do, if this is a single family home, a house, you're only marking 1 unit. If this is, of course, a 2 to 3 unit, you're going to, of course, fill out how many bedrooms and bathrooms per unit. And the good thing about this form is that it allows you to put how much rent each unit is paying. Down here, of course, garage also makes a world of a difference in terms of being able to determine whether or not the value, in terms of value, as I should say, lot size. If they don't know the lot size, fine, you can find it on the assessor's website. Special features: these are things such as granite countertops, whether or not they have a finished basement, new roof, things like that. You know, any special amenities. If they're including the appliances, go ahead and put that in there. You're also going to want to go down here and ask if there are any repairs needed. And the way that you get this information, you don't just say, are there any repairs needed? What you would do is that you would ask, has the property been updated in the last 3 to 5 years? And from there, they'll start talking. And the major things that you want to hone in on, 1, the electrical. You want to find out if the electrical is up to date. And by finding out whether or not the electrical is up to date, you want to ask this question. Do you have breakers, or do you have a fuse box? Some may have been upgraded at the service end, so you want to also ask about the wiring. Well, what type of wiring do you have in your wall? Some people won't know, and that's fine. But if you get a person to say, well, the property only needs $5,000 to $7,000 in work, and immediately if they tell you that they have fuses, you know that that repair cost is going to be higher because that electrical has to be gutted. Also, what you want to look at is the plumbing. You want to ask, what type of plumbing do you have? Do you have copper plumbing? Do you have galvanized steel? You know, these things matter because if the plumbing has not been upgraded, if the plumbing is that galvanized steel, it has to be gutted out. You have to assume that it's going to be gutted out. Also, you want to ask with the heating, the HVAC. You want to find out whether or not they have radiator heating or whether or not they have forced air, which is the furnace and the ductwork and everything in place. You want to find out how long has those things been in place. You also want to find out whether or not the kitchens and the bathrooms have been updated. Very important. You want to know about the roof. Tell me about the roof. How old is the roof? Is there any leaks? Anything like that? Is there any moisture spots in the ceiling? What about the basement? Do you smell any moisture in the basement? Things like that, because that all equates to the repair cost. You're going to get a lot of people calling you and telling you that, hey, my property is in good shape, it's in good condition, it's move-in ready. And then when you get pictures of the place, you see the place, or I take my car out and, you know, I drive to this long appointment and find out this place isn't anything what the seller said. Of course, to them it's in move-in condition, but this property is outdated. So the repair cost for an outdated property is going to be astronomical. Moving down further into the section, motivation and price. Very important that we establish motivation from the beginning. You're going to want to know why are you selling this property? What's the reason for selling it? You want to find out how quickly they are looking to sell. You know, do they need to sell yesterday? This will determine whether or not they're motivated. And also you want to ask, you know, what are you looking to sell the property for? What's your asking price? Some people will tell you that, you know, I don't really know, I want you to come out and take a look. And this one you ask them, well, what do you think your property is worth? Because a lot of times we don't go out to see every house, to be honest with you. If we know that we're dealing in an area where properties tend to sell for, let's just say, and as is condition, they tend to sell for $50,000, and the seller is asking $100,000. You know, unless they're flexible on that price, we don't even take a look at it because it's a waste of time. You want to ask, you know, where did they get that number from? If they do give you a number, you want to also ask, you know, if I can make you a cash offer and close quickly, what's the best you can do on the price? They give you that price, and this is where you go in for the kill. Can you do any better than that? And then, you know, once they say, yes, this is the best I can do, and then you say, well, okay, that's fine. You know, I'll run it past my investor, and we'll see if we can work out that price. But what are you going to do if that property doesn't sell? Very powerful question. I'm going to stop right here because I'm about to run out of time, and I'm going to pick up the last few sections, these last two sections, in the next recording. So this is part 1. Part 2 is coming up shortly. Thank you.